Oh my, the sound of those air raid sirens means one thing: duck and cover. No, it doesn't mean that at all, guys. It means it's wild and weird radio live time, and it's time to kick off our weekend, because we kick the weekend off on Thursdays, guys, because
Yes.
that's what we need. We need
Yes.
4-day weekends. We don't need,
Yes.
these little 3-day things. We need 4 days. So
I'd be down.
yeah, and it's going
Yeah,
to be an
me too.
amazing show. So everybody, please get out there, reach out, and start sharing this out to everybody. We have an incredible show planned for you tonight. It is an experiencers kind of thing. We're going to be talking to the good Reverend over here about basically that, experiencers. So if you've had any kind of non-human intelligence kind of contact throughout your life, or you suspect that, or you feel that may have happened, this is your show. You asked your questions, and this is the place. Everyone, feel free to ask your questions. It is a free zone. Joe is over there with the band hammer, so if any trolls show up, they're going to get whacked just like that. Joe.
And we will keep them under control. We always do. And but speaking of the folks that don't need the band hammer, we've got our brother Jay down there.
Yep.
What's going on? Good to see you hanging out, man. Can't wait to get this show on the road and having you all out there listening with us. Larry Hose is hanging out. What's going on, brother? Gary Schuler is in the house. James Nelson, what's going on, buddy? Terry McCullough. LR is here. Speaking of L's, LW, we're gonna miss you tonight, but you'll catch us up on the uptick. So you enjoy your evening tonight, brother. I hope you've had a good evening, safe evening as well. Then we've got Mark Eddy in the house.
Mark, hey.
What's going on? Yeah, Mark and the Reverend have a good long-standing friendship.
Oh my God, for lifetimes.
And JB's in the house. What's going on? That's right. It is time to start. We kicked this bad boy off. Danny Buckner is in the house after weeks and weeks and weeks, and finally being able to get the stuff from my mailbox. The lanyards that Danny made have arrived, and they are gorgeous. Gorgeous. Then we've got Donna Ho. What's going on, Donna? Good to see you there. Nikki Bennett. Always a pleasure to see you hanging out with us. And I will be getting a hold of you. I promise. Things have been nuts, but I'm going to get a hold of you and we'll schedule that interview time. Beats Airspace. You made it on time. Beats
made it. Check that out, everybody. That's for all you slackers out there. Check that out.
Spooky Appalachia. Timothy out there in Virginia. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Then we got who else?
Well, I'm putting over here on our chat. I keep forgetting we say it's showtime. It's showtime, y'all. Come on.
There we go. That's everybody. So not to make these the least of the announcements at all. However, it is that time because this show is kept free for eons and eons to come by these fine people right here on this list. They help support the show. They help support wild and weird West Virginia and help us build weird stuff that we need to do experiments with. And that's Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State, Larry Hose, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Lisa, Finding the Trackway, Tommy Swigger, Pat, Seth Beans Lamille, Small Town Monsters, Eyes in the Woods, James Nelson, and the rest of our amazing super chatters that we could not do this without. Dewey the Deucer Edwards, Spooky Appalachia, Guitar Chains Craig, Travis Orednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Bigfoot Littlefoot, Terry Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Donna Ho, Angie Breeden, Jen Clower, Jamie Snell, Ike the Fob, Daddy Fobber. Hope you're doing out there, where buddy. Then we got Ashley Hill on Wednesdays. We talk weird. Lotus Flower, Wendy the Pooh Bear, Asher's Creation, and Spirit Brothers Paranormal UK.
Is Adam out there? I don't see him.
I have not seen him in the chat just yet.
All right. I'm going to hunt him down.
I will shoot him a message.
Yep.
Everybody, so Rev Carter,
reach out.
How are you, brother?
Weird friends there first.
I'm okay, man. I'm okay. Could use a few hours sleep, but couldn't we all? And but it's fall. Well, almost. Leaves are starting to change a little bit here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. And the weather's cooling off a bit the last quarter almost of the year. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, that's awesome, man. That is really good to know.
Beautiful this time of year.
Ron, how's your week been, man?
Hectic, yes, sir. Been hectic as any other week. That's pretty much, it's normal. It's showtime. Gotta get ready for the shows, and a lot of painting,
Yep. Show
Uh,
season has kicked
just
off officially.
more
Yeah.
painting than I think I've done, well, since last year. So, but yeah, we got some really cool stuff that's going to be coming to the shows, and we're working on something really special. So we'll see if that shows up too, right?
Yeah. That would be it's a work in progress. We'll see what happens there.
Yep, we'll see how that goes down. And then we've got, of course, the upcoming stuff we're going to be doing here. So we've got to prepare for that as well. And that's going to be this.
Oh, hey.
Yeah,
Look at
right.
that.
Look at that. Look at
I
that.
like that.
That's
I like that.
That's going to be our presentation that we'll do. Don't let the name fool you. It's less about, monsters and such than it is, some of the stuff that's out there that people consider to be monsters, I guess, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? But it's really cool, and it definitely plays into Flatwood. So you're definitely going to want to be there for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're second up from what I understand. So you guys make plans to be there and chill out with us and have some fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I can tell you that right now.
And then almost right after that, wham.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
Literally the next week.
We have a 2-hour slot at the Mothman Festival where we will be doing a high strangeness workshop, essentially teaching you guys how to conduct paranormal research, the equipment that's needed, why we use it, and what it does. And it's going to be an absolutely amazing time, unprecedented schedule lineup. We can't wait. It's going to be a ball.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Excuse me, Mothman Festival 2024. Be there, or you're going to really miss out.
Oh yeah. It's going to be really cool. It's multiple slides and demonstrations and really cool stuff, and some behind the scenes stuff that you can't see anywhere else. It's going to be, oh my gosh, Oz. Blessings to Oz, everyone. Yeah, there you go.
And then Lisa coming in right behind him, and let's just see if we can summon Adam.
Let's see if he shows up now. Thank you guys so much. That really helps to keep this show rolling and keeps us, like Joe said, doing these weird, crazy experiments out there. You keep throwing money at us. We're going to keep doing weird, crazy experiments, and you're going to get to see them. So there you go. I mean, that's one of the best things I can say for you. That, or get you some really cool stuff to take home.
Absolutely.
A little bit of both, actually. But, Thursday's
always a good day. Make great food and watch the wild and weird folks. Absolutely.
There you go.
You got the plan.
Hey, I've got to send this out to one other person before we start talking on the what this is all about. So let me do that real quick.
So, Reverend Carter, do you have any appearances coming up soon?
I am going to be once again at the Michigan UFO Con in Michigan, Lake Houghton, Michigan, on the weekend of the 19th, 20th, and 21st of this month.
Awesome.
I'm going to be doing a talk on disclosure and sacred texts.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't finished the talk. I had to get some more slides and stuff together, but yeah, yeah, because we've talked about this.
Oh
I
yeah.
I argue that we're already in disclosure.
Oh yeah. We are. We
We're in disclosure. I love what Brother Steve Bassett is doing. He's a colleague, but I don't know. Maybe he's got another take. I'm sure he does, but we're already in disclosure. It may not be, as fast or in the way we want it to be, but we're already in disclosure, and that our sacred text, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Our ancestors were telling us what it was like
Yep.
to share this planet with non-human intelligence. That's what the Bible's about. That's what all our Aboriginal narratives are about. And we just have to go back and go back and listen to what they're talking about. But that's my thesis. So I'll be riffing on that a bit.
That is going to be it.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. It's we've been invaded. We probably still are. No one wants to come out and say that, but we were invaded.
Yeah.
And we probably still are. And so we need to be looking at that.
You can use the line. I always tell people you can't call it an invasion because an occupation is not an invasion, So
yeah. Well, I mean, whatever,
right?
I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Right.
But whatever you want to
goes?
call it,
Yeah.
we were, we've been created and we were used. And some of these folks were benevolent. Some of them were not, and some of them were neutral. But this is the history of our planet.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's written on the walls.
Check that out, man.
What is it? I'm listening.
Oz in the Woods says, I'm listening from a remote camp in the Adirondacks via Starlink. It's sketchy out here, people, but I wouldn't miss Thursday with weirdos.
Love it.
That is the best.
That's dedication.
Thank you, Oz. Thank you.
That's dedication.
That's dedication right there. I mean, I told you we had the best people, didn't I always tell you this? We have the best members of any. We always have this little low turnout, a couple thousand people, but man, they are great people. You can't beat these people. Well, all right, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're here for a reason. And that's because we never, right. We don't throw the word expert around, but when it comes to non-human contact, literally, you literally wrote the book. I'm not kidding when I say that. He wrote the book, guys. If you don't believe me, the book is right there. That's the book. This is the book right here. Yeah, this is the book that I wish I would have had, 30 years ago when I was, going through all this, trying to figure out what in the world's happening. Mm-hmm. This is the book right here. So now you have a book. You don't have to do it yourself. And if you even have an inkling of just a smallest nudge in your head that says something's not quite right, I think I may have had something like that happen. Get that book. Okay. It's it's not a bunch of brainwashing stuff. It is data. And that's why I love it, Michael. It's data. And that's what we run on is data. So
I know
it's a massive, massive contribution to, this fight.
I thank you. I think it's particularly important now because, as I was stating earlier, that we're already in disclosure, and there are pros and cons to that, obviously, because it's about who controls the narrative. And now with Brother Grush and Gary Nolan and Gary McKinnon, and we could go on, Jacques Vallée, now it seems like the only legit narrative is the military one. You know what I mean? And so you can't have that. You can't have that. The powers that be are just going to narrate what is legit. I mean, there are people out there, everyday folk, that are having these experiences, but somehow it's not okay unless Lou Elizondo says it's okay, or or Grush or what have you. And I'm not saying that there's no conspiracy or whatever, but you can see the heavy-handedness of this. And so when you have podcasts like this, where you have just everyday folk, who are not trying to gain anything from it, they're just saying, hey, man, let me tell you what happened to me and how it's changed my life for better or worse,
Yeah.
because for some people it hasn't been a walk in the park. You give people permission, because if we're not careful, you'll have, people in other places telling you and or legitimizing your story. I was just listening to what was it just the other day? Oh, it was someone quoting Brother Grush, and Grush had come out and said that some people have lost their lives interacting. He
Mhm.
didn't go into what it was. It could have been military or what have you, but and in the next sentence he says that they're a national security threat. I get that. Oh, the next sentence he was saying that we have fired on them.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
well, if you fired on them, what do you expect? And a lot of times we hear these now, they've taken the high ground. But do you see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you're getting this put out in the media, this fear is, they've hurt us, but they don't go into, well, why are you shooting at them?
Right. No, it's true.
What's going on? So I'm glad that you're devoting this show to experiencers, and I think experiencers are the ones that will change the narrative from a grassroots kind of thing, because those voices have to be heard. We need Grush, we need Gary Nolan, and we need these folks doing what they need to do. Gary Nolan, I just found out, has said he was an experiencer.
Oh, yeah.
And we need everyday folk. Otherwise, it won't be legit unless the military says it is, or
That's true.
it's, or yeah. So I think that's something we need to be careful of.
Yeah, and, I think we've talked about this before. It's like it is a narrative thing, and it's almost like, it's someone's claim to something, right? But it's not theirs. It's not the US government's. It's not, China. It's not Russia. It's not any other country. It's everybody's. And I personally think that that's what this thing does. The phenomena itself, it's not interested in making allies with countries and world powers. It's making individual contact with people, is what it seems
Mm-hmm.
to me. And then those people make contact with each other. And then they validate each other right there on the spot. And we've seen it, Joe. We've been in the spot where
Yeah,
that's
we've
happened, and it's
lived it.
magical.
We've
Yeah.
how many times now?
Right. It's absolutely magical to watch. You can see these people, and tears come to their eyes because someone's like, "You believe me?" You know, well, yeah, I believe you. I mean, you just described the same thing that I've seen and that this, 1,000 other people have seen. They have no idea about that. It validates them. And I think that is the bridge. That's what it's for, in my opinion. That's part of it. And it's an evolution. Plain and simple. I think this is the evolution of consciousness and of what we're supposed to be or going to be. Now,
Mm-hmm.
will we make it there? I don't know. We didn't make it before, did we? So,
Well, yeah.
yes
Yeah.
and
You
no.
know, you make some great points. Yeah, well, we have. There have been cataclysms and what have you.
Yeah.
Plato talks about
Start
that,
all
and
over. Yeah.
you start all over again. You reboot. Um, and I agree, and I do get the tech perspective, because it's above my pay grade. But if you're going to be a superpower, how do you stay a superpower? You keep other people from becoming
Right.
superpowers. And so
Yep.
the tech aspect is, we don't want our enemies and or what have you to have the jump on us. And okay, so you can have both.
Yep.
You can have your national security concerns to a degree, but you also have to deal with the change of consciousness. And I think that's what's threatening, because you can't control that.
Yep.
And so we have to keep having a narrative where, this is dangerous. And I'm not saying, again, there are beings and entities who were not
Yeah.
always favorable to us. You can pick up your Bible and see that. Some were and some weren't. But you can't paint that broad brush and just keep that, not unless you just want to keep a control on
Right.
things, that we get to decide what's fake news. We get to decide if your experience is valid. We get to decide what the science says about that, and that's the darker side of disclosure, because we're waiting for them to tell us something that we already know, but we're also waiting for the same people who've been lying to us for 70 plus years
And
to all of a sudden come clean.
Yeah, how are you going to
you gotta find that balance.
Yeah. I mean, how do you trust people who've lied to you for years, right? I think that's the issue with it. And I think that's where we're at. You know, we have so many people who are like, well, I want to believe this. I mean, okay, again, it's wonderful that you want to believe it. You're willing to put this in your wheelhouse now, and we're going to talk about it. But at the same time, you still have these people who are just hell bent on keeping their narrative. They want that. That's
Well,
there.
There's power
there
in the narrative. There are people in the government who, in Congress, the Pentagon, some people want disclosure, some don't.
Yeah.
And they each have their reasons. Some people want more disclosure, some want less. And in some, I've heard some researchers say that they're even, Hayam Mashed, who was the Israeli Brigadier General for security. For security, I mean, he came out and said that there is a galactic federation, that we've been in touch with these people for 70 plus years, which takes you back
40s.
to the Truman and Eisenhower administrations, if you do the math, and that there are extraterrestrials who some want disclosure and some don't, at least not right now. So there are layers to this. And I just finished reading a wonderful book called The Secret Commonwealth. It's by a guy named Robert T. Kirk. He wrote it in the 17th century in Scotland. He was a Presbyterian minister, and he started listening to these stories of the people in the area who were telling him about nymphs and fairies and little people and all this psychic phenomenon. And he found it's a wonderful book. It's a quick read. It's thick, in the sense of, because it's using the Old English. But he's basically come out and said, this is the 17th century, that in order for human beings to understand life on this planet and government, they have to realize that there is an extraterrestrial overlay to the rulers of the world. In other words, you have your leaders that you vote for and what have you. You have your elites, but above them is a non-human intelligence. And at first that was difficult for me to really, I've heard it, but after reading that, and now, and this time I've come to believe that there are people who are telling other, this whole hierarchy, and how to run this planet. And again, we see it in the Bible. If you look at the Old Testament, the Yahweh stories and those kinds of things, that there's an extraterrestrial overlay to politics and exopolitics on planet Earth.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it just comes down to the fact that, like you guys have always said, we're not alone. We've never been alone, and that kind of seems to be the narrative here. Honestly, we know that. I mean, whatever the press says is, kind of.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because it's not Reverend Carter saying it.
Right.
It's the sacred text saying it. You know what I mean? I'm just not making
all around the world
like some fancy. If you look at the sacred text, we're being told
every tribe,
we've been invaded,
every civilization,
and colonized, and this is what it is. I can see why governments don't want to let you know that, but eventually you're going to have it, because it brings up issues about who and what is God, and if there's a God, and those, who wants to tackle that?
Right.
But this is it.
We're there. This is the conversation we talked about a year ago when you were on the show, and we did the making contact episode. What would it look like? And this is where we are. We are now we're trying to deal with this, and that's what we said would happen. We would have to sit down and really try to deal with this. And what does it mean? What is this non-human intelligence? What? But right now, I think it's more important for everyone just to understand that it is. That's the most important part. Not what it is, only that it is. It
Yeah.
is. Just
And
accept
it
that
always
first.
was,
Always was, always will be.
and probably always will
And
be.
see, for a lot of people, that spiritual concept is easy. Like, you're already doing it whether you think it or not. Like, if you grew up in a Western influenced culture, like, that is kind of ingrained in you from the time you're
Yes.
little. It's
Yes.
just labels at some point, and you've got to figure out what works. So, like, for me, coming at this from a slightly different perspective, the spiritual aspects of this to me are clear. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. I don't have to do mental gymnastics to make it work. I, at this point, have become extremely interested and focused on the, I guess, side effects and results of some of this contact experiences. And, it makes
Mhm.
me wonder, how many times have I been in a prayer service where I've been in a room and all of a sudden you experience this like Shekinah like environment. What was the radiation levels when that happened?
Right.
What
Right.
was what were the EMF levels
What did the
during
thermal do?
what did the thermal and what did the IR do? What would that equipment have done during this encounter, during
Did
this
the
experience?
spectrum analyzer hit 1.6 right there? I don't know.
Right?
I mean,
Like,
for real.
and I know that you are Reverend Carter, that you're very in tune with the supernatural and with the spiritual, and as well as the interest in the contact experiences. And me, that's something for me that's likely with you and Ron as well. But it's easy to grasp because of our backgrounds, because of the way we were educated and grown up with it. It's not difficult. But the side effects for some of these, because it's not all. It's
Right.
not all encounters. It's certain ones it that seem to be more measurable maybe than others, would be a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. No, and I'm interested in it too. I would probably frame it. I know you're framing it, at least the way I'm hearing it, more like a, with the tech stuff and the equipment, how much, what the all that, and I am too. For me, I'm not that. That's my head is how has it changed your belief? How has your consciousness changed? Has it changed?
Yeah.
How has it affected your beliefs in God or non-God? What changed? Because like you said, this is about consciousness.
And
And so I agree.
with
I'm
this,
interested in the after effects of it that way.
with the consciousness aspects though,
Mm-hmm.
that is where, like, for me, my interests, it's the consciousness and the technological stuff. That's where it marries for me.
Yeah, yeah.
What
See,
what
I hear you.
these
I hear you.
initiations of elevated consciousness, these initiations of elevated spirituality, when those occur, what is it that's making those encounters different than, say, the encounters that we've had in the past, where we're chasing a signal, we're chasing some kind of a electromagnetic or microwave signal, and and what it is, something like that is some kind of a interaction with that um, technology, for lack of a better word,
Mhm.
impacting what's going on with our state of being.
Mhm. No, I'm hearing you, and I think we're saying the same thing, just
And
maybe in a
I
different
know we're
way.
getting really philosophical.
Well,
We're
well,
starting to tread a deep
that's
water.
what it does. I mean, it's in my book and in other people's books. There's a lot of data. The person who has a contact experience. Now, I'm just talking about UFO experience, but it could be
Yeah.
near death.
Right.
My God, it could be an orgasm. It
Yeah,
could be,
whatever.
the Hindus can tell you about that with the Kama Sutra and
Right.
their whole
That's right.
spirit. It could be, you could be on some mushrooms. I'm just saying that what happens is that it's a whole lifestyle change, and I don't know if you can measure that. The person who was on Wall Street and was just chasing the dollar and living this kind of life, they have a near-death experience. They have they just have an experience. They see an extraterrestrial. Something happens and they
No, leave
leave
that
Wall
up, Joe.
Street.
Leave
The
that
next
up.
thing you know,
No,
they're
I'm going to
Reiki.
bring it back.
They're a Reiki practitioner. The next thing you know,
Yeah.
they're a massage practitioner.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, they're gone into social work. I'm talking about those types of changes where it's not just, I don't know how you can measure it, but something has changed this individual because their whole lifestyle has changed from a materialistic worldview to
A life of
maybe a
service.
more ascetic or just a different worldview where I'm not chasing the dollar. I'm not chasing women. I'm not chasing men. Whatever your deal is, something has triggered me, and I'm living a life of service. That's the example I'm using. And then I resonate with what you're saying as well. But because those would be the lasting changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just, I saw a UFO yesterday and blah, blah, blah. And then my whole world changed. And then the next day or the week after, you're just back in your same old rut again.
Right.
And that's not right or wrong, but it's the people who've had, man, my whole life changed. This was transformative. And now I'm living a life of service. I'm a school teacher now. I was a trader on Wall Street. I was doing this. That's what's in the book, but that's what people go from being carnivores to vegetarians. And I'm not saying you're not spiritual if you eat meat. I'm not saying that.
Just examples.
These lifestyle changes that happen after contact, and that cannot be controlled.
No, you're absolutely
That
right.
cannot be controlled by the Pentagon or the Congress, and those are the stories that we're hearing from the people who are tuning in and writing across the screen, the people who are on your show and other shows. David Grush is not going to, nor should he. But, I want to say, but brother, how has it changed your beliefs? How has it changed your belief about how the cosmos works? What was your faith tradition like? Did you have one? Because that's the meaty stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to change the planet.
And see, those are the things that, these conversations, they need to happen. And in the past,
they're hard conversations.
Those have been table talk, those are the conversations that have occurred over meals. They've occurred sitting at a cafe, drinking coffee.
On a 7-hour trip to another state to sell reptiles, for example.
Yeah. No, stuck in a car ride, those kind of things.
Yeah.
And we need to start being a more public kind of conversation at this point.
Definitely be open.
But that's what you're doing now. That's what you guys are doing now. This is the public conversation.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Otherwise, there will be the government and sociologists all over that touch this topic. They're so afraid of ontological shock.
They are.
The only way to avoid the ontological shock is to have these discussions openly, without the stigma, without the whole,
Well, Joe, look at it like this. When you have a Band-Aid on, right? You got two options when you take it off. You can rip it off, or you can pull it off really, really slow. Now, if you pull it off really, really slow, it still hurts. But if you pull it off really, really fast, it doesn't hurt as bad, does it?
No.
That's what needs to happen. We need to rip the Band-Aid off fast instead of this real slow thing, because we've been going slow all this long, and it's honestly just hurt people. That's all it's done. It has hurt experiencers throughout, and it has continued to do so. And then the ones who control narratives. Danny brought up a great example of this here.
And this is a perfect example of ontological shock too.
There are a lot of people that believe the Bible and paranormal shouldn't cross paths. I am not a pastor, but I will tell you this. If that's what they believe, then they don't believe the Bible.
Right, because I was a pastor. and Michael is a pastor, and
It is
he,
paranormal by nature.
will be able to tell
The
you right
Bible
now.
is full of paranormal stories. Yeah.
Anytime, for example, just in the instance of talking about Jesus Christ,
Oh, there
when
you
you mention a
Who I
man
have back here
walking
behind
through
me.
a wall, that's not normal. That would be technically, by today's standard, paranormal or supernatural, because
Yeah.
that's the only word that we had to use for a millennia or so. It was like a
Agreed.
supernatural.
That's what's killed us, though.
Because
That's
paranormal has been the sticking word here in the last, what, 30, 40
yes.
years?
But before
Yeah,
that, what
yeah.
was it, guys? What was it before that? Before it was
A
paranormal, what
cult.
was
Was it a cult?
Yeah,
Bingo.
occult.
Which has
Exactly.
this icky
Yep.
ooh,
There you go.
feeling.
That's where we are, and that's the problem. And that right
Yeah.
there is why, Danny. That's why what you just said is true.
I mean, listen, Danny's right, but I mean, no, he's right, period. No, but however,
It's perspective.
well, it's how you interpret it. I mean, there are folks who say these beings are demons. They believe the Bible. They're religious people, and they just say this is demonic. And these people are in halls of power,
Yes.
and they say
Yeah.
we don't want it. We don't want to talk about it. We're not going to let you talk about it. But I think when we look, I mean, the religions are started by experiencers.
They are. They've
Yeah,
experienced something.
100%
yeah,
every
yeah.
time.
Moses
Every
is
time.
experiencing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jesus. Muhammad is. I mean, the religions of the world are started by experiencers. And it just snowballed, and then it got shaped, and you got hierarchy, and you got those types of things. I mean, when you go back and look at these stories, like for instance, ancient Judaism, it was not a monotheistic religion.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
They were talking about the Elohim. And
Yeah.
then Yahweh comes along and says, you don't make graven images to these
Yeah.
other people. I'm the Elohim that you need to follow. And
Yeah.
these are my set of rules. But it was more polytheistic. There were other gods. Dagon is mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Asherah is mentioned. I mean, there were when he says there are no other gods before me, he's not talking about, in a liberal church, for instance, which is what I'm in, it's a metaphor. No, this is literal. There were
It was
other
literal.
gods there, and I don't want you cozying up to them. You cozy up to me. You are mine. And so monotheism, later Yahwism became the order of the day, but it became that way because of political actions, geopolitical actions. And so now we have monotheism. We think monotheism is the norm, but it wasn't.
Right.
And so,
and even in the later texts, beyond some of the Old Testament texts, there's mentions of the unseen realm and how we will go. The verbiage is used. We will go and we will speaking not in a plurality, and that the references, when you read through it, it says the Most High God, implying that there are gods that are not Most High. There are lesser on that chain.
Yes.
And that when they, for example, in Revelation, some of the depictions in the throne room, in the higher court, so to speak, you have all these deistic images. They're these individual deities. They're the Elohim. They're the unseen. Those who
they're the
inhabit the unseen
Anunnaki.
realm.
They're the Nephilim. They're whatever name you want to give them, but they're other gods. When Jesus comes along and talks about his father, it's interesting. He's talking about a different God, if you will, who he happens to call Father or Abba. You notice Jesus never once mentions the word Yahweh.
Yeah.
And you can argue, I argue, that he's talking about a different being than the Old Testament God. See, I was raised that Yahweh was Jesus, you know what I mean? That there was that connection. But when you read the New Testament and you see that Jesus distances himself in some ways, a lot of times he'll say, Moses told you this, but I say this.
Yeah.
Your fathers told you this, but I tell you this. He's distancing himself from that. And so you have to wonder, and I didn't until very, recently, because I was raised with that Yahweh and Jesus, there was a connection, but there isn't a connection.
Yeah, I
There's no
mean,
connection
you
between the two.
absolutely nailed
You
it
have to make Go ahead.
in the Christmas special that we did. You
Mhm.
nailed that. I
Yeah, you
mean,
cannot do. They're two different people.
You have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to make the connection.
yeah.
Well, you know what? No, you don't, Joe, and I'll tell you why. Well, you're right. We do, but not because it's a difficult concept.
Right.
We've been brainwashed for thousands of years, and to say that, you're going up against thousands of years of church history. But if you don't think about it, if you just say Jesus is talking about love your neighbor, mercy, forgiveness, Ray Charles can see that that's a very different concept than Yahweh, who nuked Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah.
who
No,
said, you go into the land of Canaan and you take that land. And they were talking about throwing babies up against rocks and what have you. It's not a big jump. The jump is here. Can I really say that? Can I have permission to think for myself?
A pastoral mentor of mine, one of my favorite phrases that he used to tell me all the time was that we were homeschooled in the wrong home.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's a
that
neat
really
way to put
hits.
that. That's a really neat way to put that.
Yeah.
Good gosh, these people are
They're blowing it up, ain't they?
Yeah, I'm
Don says, what
throwing
an
some
honor
up
it
here.
would be to meet the
Hey,
Reverend.
Don.
We'll have to make
Oh,
that
it'd be an
arrangement.
honor to meet you too, my friend. And so as experiencers, because I want to get back to that, because I know we're not doing a Bible show, but
Right.
But,
Hard not to.
or I mean,
Hard-
but we could go to the Dhammapada. We could
Right.
go to the Upanishad. So we're not just beating up on Christianity,
Right.
and we're not beating up on anybody. We're just saying what they're saying. The experiencer, in my experience, asks these questions: What is reality? What is real? Where do I fit in now? I gotta let go of something, but that's painful. I need to be around people who will at least support me by affirming, not judging, not telling me what I believe. But it winds up being and John Mack talked about this, the late John Mack, that it winds up being, like you said, an ontological experience, but it's a spiritual experience. It's a change of consciousness, not for everybody, because it depends on who you wind up running into. But that's the lasting effect that everything I was told was wrong. Everything I was told was wrong. And that what I'm looking for outside is in me, that I live in a populated universe, right? And it's not just about ETs, that they're energy-based beings. You know what I mean? They're all types of life out here: visible, invisible, energy beings, reptilians, Nordics. I mean, the universe is teeming with life, and I'm part of that. And so how do I live now? It reminds me of my friends who were in Vietnam, not comparing what we're talking about to a war, but they would ask them, what are you going to do when you get back to the world? What are you going to do? If we survive this, how are you going to act? After we've seen and done the things that we did, how are we going to behave? Now, when we get back to the world, apples and oranges, because again, I don't want to come, this is a war we're in, But I'm just saying, once you've looked one of these beings in the face, in the eye, then you have to say, how am I going to walk through the world now? Because everything that I believed was just shattered.
No, it's true.
Shattered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what experiencers are asking and trying to show and trying to navigate and talk about. Not just about tech and national security.
Yeah.
Not just about not letting our adversaries get these weapons, because that's what we're going to turn them into.
Oh, absolutely.
But how are we going, that's what we're going to use. How are we going to interact with each other? Because there's a planet in need of saving. Not really, because the Earth will survive without us. But how are we going to act? Because if we don't know how to act, we're going to destroy ourselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is the ultimate message behind every religion. Is
the ultimate message behind religion and behind most of the messages of the contactees. It's the same thing, Joe.
Yeah. When you go back to George Adamski or even Billy Meyer before he went a little crazy, and when you go back,
you don't change now, you're set for disaster.
Yeah. And this is not new. It's not a sexy message, but it's not new.
Yeah.
And here we are living it. Here we are living it. The future is now. Because and Plato talked about it happening. But remember, Plato says every 5,000 years. I'm trying to remember which book. But every 5,000 years, and he learned this from an Atlantean. He learned it from Berossus, who was a Babylonian priest, who learned it from an Egyptian priest, who learned it from an Atlantean, that every 5,000 years or so, there's some type of cataclysm. I don't know whether it's a pole shift or whatever. And there's an extinction level event. Like we can look at Lemuria or Mu or Atlantis. They were talking about Atlantis specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that every 5,000 years, it's in the book Critias, his writings. And we get jump started again. We could be living in these times now, because certainly we could have a pole shift. Edgar Casey talks about that. We definitely could nuke ourselves out, or a big rock could hit us, an asteroid. But he says this happens every 5,000 years, and that these beings come and jumpstart the survivors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he learned this from some priests who were in Atlantis. So, we have destroyed ourselves and been destroyed, and it will happen. This is the cycle. On this planet. Yeah, it's in Timaeus and Critias. He talks about this. Plato was something. He believed in a god, but he believed in the gods, and he talked about a fractalized universe, how we all come from the source, and he said you can go back to a time. You have to know how he figured all this out, where there is no time. There's a 0 point. He said you could do that. Now, he said this 2,500 years before Jesus.
Isn't that amazing? And like you said, who taught him that, right?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
And he talked about you can meeting these beings.
Yeah.
So we're living in, and that's why I'm saying you don't have to go back to, it's already there. What's the old saying? If you want to learn something new, go read an old book.
It's true.
Go read an old book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true.
So Anita Allen brought up, my mom was a Catholic and my dad was Hindu. I learned that there were more out there than the local church will ever admit to by the time I was 6.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, Sister Allen. What's so interesting about that is that when religions do start coming out with this, Catholicism and Hinduism probably will do okay, because Hinduism has a plethora of deities, and Catholicism believes in, other deities. There's God, there's Jesus, there's that hierarchy, but they have saints and they have, these angels and whatever. And it's those religions who are not cramming monotheism down your throat that are going to have to do a lot of explaining.
stuff. Donna, that's just great comment right there. My own
Mhm.
mother was afraid of me. I used to take it personally, but now I get it. It's easy to avoid others, but when they demonize kids, is your own, when the demonized kid is your own child, how can you avoid them without hurting them? No, you're right, and that's the problem. They've literally, this is what's happening to experiencers. That's why they don't say anything. No, we have more of a voice now, obviously, than we did,
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago, and we're only going to keep having that voice as long as you guys keep talking. So anybody here who's got questions, now is the time to ask those questions. It's time to put it on the table. If you got a belief, throw it out there. Anything. I don't really care. Just if you want to know, this is the time. This is your show. That's what it's here for. So ask your questions, post your comments, share it out to others, so everybody can see. I've had this thing live over on Instagram. I lost the link. I don't even know if it's still up. Guys, if you're out there, by all
It shows
means,
it's still up.
okay. Well, guys, if you're out there, I can't read your comments, unfortunately now. So if you're out there, then come on over here and ask your questions on the YouTube, and we'll get them over here and get them answered for you, or try to anyway. So yeah, questions, experiences you want to share, go for it. We are all ears.
So when looking at how over time the stigma has lifted, we're now entering this era where people can talk openly about their experiences. What would be some obviously your books, but what would be some good resources that you could direct these folks to?
I would go back and read Abduction by John Mack.
Yes.
I would read Richard Boylan's book, Positive Experiences with Extraterrestrial Visitors. That was a good one for me. Both of those were. I still have them. I would read Stephen Greer's Disclosure, which I have over there. This was before he kind of got a
Yep.
little crazy.
That's right.
Well, Disclosure also has an absolutely amazing accompanying documentary.
Yes, it does.
And
does.
it
Yep.
masterfully done and delivers the information at a very, very consumable speed.
Mhm.
It
And
doesn't just info dump on you and you're sitting there on the couch like, whoa, what
and
did I
like
Yeah.
like Michael just said, that before he went a little, off the rails.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
important
no,
to
he
understand.
did some. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to give him his flowers. He at the beginning he did some
Yes.
really good work.
A lot
I
of
would read. I would go back and read anything by Zachariah Sitchin to give you some grounding in how we got to this. A lot of people use Sitchin's work and don't even mention his name.
Yeah, that's
And I
true.
guess that's just how it goes. But those are the things. But as far and I would toss my book Initiation into the mix.
I would definitely toss your book into the mix.
Yeah. So,
It
but
belongs
those
on the
for
shelf.
experiencers, yeah,
Yeah.
getting that narrative again. John Mack's Abduction. Richard Boylan, not Richard Dolan. Richard Boylan has a book called no, because I used to get them mixed up,
Yeah.
and Boylan is much older.
Worlds
It's
apart.
called Positive Experiences with Extraterrestrial Visitors.
So I never read it.
It was water to a thirsty man for me because I was reading all this stuff about how negative the experiences could be, and I got it, but that wasn't mine. So that helped me out a lot.
Mhm.
Those and anything by Sitchin, so you can see how we got here, with the Bible and other other religious texts. I'm just trying to think. I think those you'd have your work cut out for you with
On
those.
those. Yeah. Good
And
primer.
Initiation, and my book Initiation.
Yeah.
And then you could branch out. But those books would give you more of a self-awareness, a self-knowing. You get to see, you hear other experiencers talking about what's going on with them. If you've had some traumatic experiences, those books would be good. I think the late Bud Hopkins, some of his
Oh
earlier stuff.
yeah.
But when I knew Bud, but Bud was in a different, he was in a different consciousness then, because he was and it was all negative, and the people he was dealing with
Yeah.
were people who were traumatized, and I get that. Everybody didn't have the kumbaya experience. I didn't, but it later became that. But only the fear level was so high. But you know, so if you're like not into the positive experience, you know, then anything by Bud, early work by Buds. But I think those would be a good place to start.
Michael, don't you think, and we're going to get, I want to get this, but don't you think that, we keep talking about, because we've had positive experiences for the most part, except for a little bit of, natural fear that you're going to have with this. But do you think that, a lot of this, like these experiences, are a lot of them truly negative, or is it more just the interpretation of this unknown thing that's happening? It doesn't fit. It's not
No,
right.
I think you can have negative experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I hear what you're saying. You're saying it's just my interpretation, how I'm filtering it. But I've had experiences that were kind of creepy, and I
Okay.
don't talk about them much because they
Yeah.
were one and done. But because because the universe is teeming with life, you're gonna have some negative experiences. Just
Yeah.
like you're gonna bump into negative people. You know what I mean? It's just so many. There's so many varieties out there. When I wrote my book, Alien Scriptures, I wanted people to know, because at that time, that's all you heard. All
Yeah.
you heard was how bad these people were. And it was always the Greys. It was always the reptilians. And so I just wanted to counter that. It's like saying all people from West Virginia are bad because a couple people from West Virginia didn't treat you well.
Yeah.
So that was the counter thing. But I do think you can bump into some energies that may not want to be your best friends. Yeah, we have a CE5 experience. Yeah, people do that all the time. They meditate and they send out their intentions, and it does happen. I get it. I get it. I was just acknowledging Eyes in the Woods comment
Yep.
there. And my
There's
experience
the second half of that comment.
we both experienced. What do I think? I think I believe you, and I will tell you that happens often. That people have said. I think what's the guy? I haven't read his book. UFO of God talks about how he can
Chris
call
Bledsoe.
these beings in, and there are other people who say that. So no, I mean, what do I think? I think that that's possible. I think that's very possible, and we have data to prove it.
So Mike Hacker brings up an experience here. Said that I've been to heaven without dying. Has anyone else done that?
I think so.
Yeah.
But now I will go back to Ron's thing. Heaven is what you think it is, and I'm not saying to Brother Hacker that that's not it. You can go on YouTube and you hear people talking about, I died and came back and this is what I saw. I'm not making a value judgment on that at all. I'm just saying that there is data that shows that people who have near-death experiences, and I know he's saying he is not dying. If you're Muslim and you have a near-death experience, who do you see? Muhammad. If you're Christian, you see Jesus. If you're Buddhist, I mean, there's data to support this, you see Buddha. If you are an atheist, you just see that bright light and you may see a figure. So I'm not going to say you didn't go to heaven. I don't know what that would even be like, but I know that it will conform to what you think heaven should look like.
It's a
Now,
perspective
with
thing.
Yes.
with me, just to give you an example of my personal experience, because
Yeah.
concerning what Mike said, it's a I referred to those as open visions because he said that he was awake in a bank line when
hmm
his occurred, and that was just the terminology that I used was it was an open vision, and you feel you feel the environment, you feel the like I didn't see anybody, but I knew where I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
those instances occurred, like I didn't see anybody, it wasn't a religious figure, there was but I knew where I was and I knew who I was with. And I knew that I was with what I refer to as the Father. And that I was there because it was a presence that I was familiar with previously.
Mhm.
It was just like being taken to that realm in a spiritual sense because my body was stuck on the couch at the house watching
Yeah. Yeah.
gosh, well, I was watching an old episode of Ancient Astronaut and
hmm
I just felt this sensation and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to lean into that." And began to meditate and pray and there it went.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and I would never tell anyone that you didn't say you didn't you that your experience
Mhm.
wasn't valid. I would just say that someone else may say I went to heaven and it may be totally different.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it may be something else. That's all I'm saying. And we
Yes.
have to be open to that. And that's one thing religious experiences throughout history have not allowed.
Yeah.
This is heaven.
He's right. Yeah.
This is what I think. And no, well, I had an experience similar, but my heaven was no, then that's not it. So I would never,
Right.
if Brother
Yep.
Hacker said he went to heaven, I'm not going to say you didn't. I'm just going to say in my mind, but that's maybe your interpretation of what happened to you, because it's all interpretation. For someone else, it may be something different. That's all I'm saying. Like you said, I went to where I was comfortable. I refer to this as the Father. I
Yeah.
refer to this.
It
Someone
was
else will say, I went to the source.
right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? I went to Allah. I went to the seventh.
Right.
What I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
subjective in that sense, and it doesn't make it any less
It's no
real.
less valid.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think
Yeah.
we have to make we have to make room for that, because it's very easy to say, I've seen people get in arguments. Well, that's
Oh
not what
gosh.
no, I went to no, okay, you could go there and you can call it
Worse.
what you want. I had this and I'm calling it that.
Yep.
And they don't have to compete, you know. They don't
No.
have to compete. And they can be
Everybody
just
throw some up for Adam Good
Adam.
there. He's not feeling good tonight.
yes.
He's down for the count right now and getting ready to go back to sleep. So
Ugh.
we
Yeah,
love you
I don't
too,
blame
brother.
you.
Oh, boy.
Thanks for tuning in and take care of yourself.
Get some rest, brother. We got you in our minds and in our hearts. You're covered, brother.
But no,
Then
I
let's
I
see.
think you guys are 100% spot on with all that, and that plays right into the phenomena itself. We've talked about this multiple times, how people perceive things that may not be what that is, right? I mean, that's
Well,
literally
it may be for them though, but
right.
you're right. It may not be what
May
that
just be a
is.
floating ball of energy,
If
in
you go
reality.
back and if you go back and read Betty Andreasen's story
Oh
about her,
yeah.
and she comes at it from a
Yeah,
Christian
she
lens,
did. Yeah.
and she was as unashamed, and not that
Yep.
she should have been, but you also have to say that's the lens that
Yep.
Betty
Interpreted.
that's it,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it doesn't mean it's wrong.
Nope.
That's her. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And so we have to make room for that,
Mhm.
and we have to make room for other people who may say, I sometimes I'm just on scrolling on YouTube and I see 5 or 6 people said I died and went to heaven and this is what I saw, and I died and went to heaven and I got, and then sometimes they're just totally different. Now,
Yeah.
what are you going to say? Well, you're not, and you're not. No,
Right.
this is your experience, and that's all I can go on is with
Yep.
your experience. Try it. Just go on YouTube, and they'll be totally different. But I'm not going to say, well, you didn't die and go to heaven. This is what you said you did. It's not my place to say that.
Right.
Rod Posey said in 2019, the Widowmaker got me and I was dead for 3.5 minutes. Kind of disappointed I didn't see anything. I still think God had a hand in me there, still being here though.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, when your mission is up, you leave. It's just as simple as that. When you've accomplished, at least for the most part, what you were here to do, and things do happen, accidents happen, car crashes.
Why I don't work, man.
But it's time to go. Yeah. I know. You go, well, I'm going to stay in the house and nothing will happen to me. And then you trip and fall in the house and die. It's
right.
But yeah. So if you're still here for a reason.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all have things to do, contribute to, right?
Yes.
Whether we want to or not.
Well, you always do it someplace else later.
That's right. You do.
Yeah. It gets done. It gets done.
All right, guys. What are you feeling out there? I want to see some feedback. Got some questions. We had some really incredible
This is really cool
and stories that are coming in there.
Rob said that his 10-year-old granddaughter is who performed CPR on him and saved his life. That's awesome.
Yeah. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
May have been karmic stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he did that at another time in another place.
So there's some things, right? Yeah.
Using some reference material here that we can't really talk super openly about, but with people who have had experiences in the past, and there was just a series, a duration of sightings that were once interpreted as possibly negative, and then there is a flip of the coin where they then have that realization.
Mm-hmm. That happens a lot.
Have you seen an increase in activity with some of those people who, once that coin flips over, do you see I guess more people who have a kind of a decrease in experiences or an increase in experiences once they become that more open and accepting to what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know personally of any day. It's a great question that would focus on that. But I do know of data where people have had time to step back a bit and see that, this was really a positive thing in my life. Not at the beginning, because it's fight or flight, and it shatters. And human beings, what we don't understand, we fear. But I've talked to more people over the years who have said, it started out negative for me, but I saw it in a different light, and it actually changed me. But they were open, and they had to step back from it.
Mm-hmm.
But they also too had to tune out again that religious aspect because that's how powerful it is. That this was negative, that you're dealing with demons, that it's taking you away from the one true gospel, those kind of things. And that's hard to do, that peer pressure, but people have done it, and they get to see it in a different way. It's expanded. Most of the people I know that say, I've had these experiences. I was raised in a certain, let's say I was Christian. Now the God that they were brought up with has now gotten bigger. It's gotten less personal, in the sense of there's a God, there's a man in the sky following me and watching me and what have you. It's been more of, I'm part of all that is. So it's not just someone in the sky, it's all around me, it's in me. And if I tune into that, whether it's my prayers or my meditation, I become one with that. You use the language of the Father. Someone else might use the source.
Yeah.
So it's just what you want to call it. But that's what had changed. It's been a less, and it changed like that for me too. It's a less personal, someone's keeping tabs of what I do, to everybody can tune into this.
Yeah.
If it's available. And all I need to do is do that because it's already in me. That is scary to people who are holding on to the old way. And that's what's scary to Orthodox religion, Orthodox Christianity. And you see it in the life of Jesus. You have taken these teachings and now you have either blown them out of the water or just expanded them. And usually people who are more Orthodox, no, it's got to be this. It's got to be in this box. The knee must bow a certain way. No, you got to say it like this, Michael.
Yeah.
You're not saying it right. And that's what's scary. You see it all through history. You see people, they could be talking about the same thing, and all of a sudden, they're burned at the stake, or their tongues are cut out, or they're crucified, or whatever. That is what has happened. Once you look one of these beings in the eye, they take you, it's beyond all that. It's beyond all that. And that's threatening.
Mm-hmm.
That's very threatening.
It's freedom on a personal level. And
yeah, but free people scare people.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Look what they do when people free freedom.
When people are free, we can't have you too free, man.
No.
Because other people want to be free like you.
Mm-hmm.
And so no. You have one of these experiences and you say, you know what? Maybe the church has got it wrong. You have one of these experiences and you say, well, I don't have to rely on the church or my government because I'm in contact with these beings and they're teaching me something else. Oh no, you can't do that, man.
Yeah.
You better not. No.
Yeah.
We will have something for, and I'm being facetious, but I'm not. I'm saying it.
No, like, yeah.
But they're saying, no. I don't know, because there's the powers that be. We tell you what's religion. We tell you what's fake news. Mm-hmm. We tell you what's good for you, what medicines are good for you. And you're coming from a whole different thing. We have to shut that down.
It's the powers
because
that be,
other
man.
people, other people will be, we just can't, Michael. I love you, but we can't.
It's a miracle. It's another miracle. There he hosts. Multiple things.
Mary.
Multiple blessings. Thank you so much.
Where did it go?
I don't know. Give him some.
There.
I forgot the sky jellies. I always forget about them. I'm going to re-render them one day.
I like to pull them out every now and then. There,
that was nice. Very generous.
That was very awesome. Larry.
Thank you, Larry. You're awesome.
Keeping us rolling, man. Keeping us rolling. We've got some stuff coming up, so that's going to help a lot.
So, where do you want to navigate from here on?
Well, I think that we need to navigate to the point where we need to make people understand it's okay. I think that's the number one thing. There's so many people who they're afraid of themselves. They don't even give themselves permission, because you have to give yourself permission to be okay with this before you can ever talk about it publicly or even to someone in your family. You've got to give permission to yourself to be okay to talk about this kind of stuff. I think that there's eyes. So I think this is what we need to do. We need to get everybody on board with that. And, you don't have to tell your story tonight, guys. That's not what this is about. It's about taking away from the fact that you can tell your story. When you're ready, tell your story. You have as much right to tell your story as anyone, and you will be surprised at the person and the reaction that hears it, total stranger. It's going to be a total stranger that'll hear what you're saying. I will bet you two will become friends just like that. I've seen it happen multiple times, and look at all of it. I mean, we're surrounded by them right now. It's absolutely amazing is what it happens.
I think what your show provides, what you and Joe provide, because you're right, and I think what you got to provide a safe space.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where people can feel that they can feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
and trusted, that they trust. I think that's crucial for any type of, because I do counseling I do counseling period as part of my church duties, but especially with experiencers, and they have to be able to feel safe, you know. And you know how you find that out is you say, what would make you feel safe? Do you want to call me? Do you want to Skype? You want to meet if that's possible, because you're always catering to them. And you would do that with anybody, even a close friend that had nothing to do with this. Because if there's a safe space and I feel supported, that's where the healing begins. Because remember, this whole thing is about healing. You have to heal this shattered reality. You know, you're raised in a certain way. You do your 40-hour-a-week job. You get married. You have 2.5 kids. You die. You do the catechism if you're Catholic. You do the Apostles' Creed. You blah, blah, blah. Everything is scripted until the day you die. You don't ask weird questions. You don't date outside your race. You don't ask these questions. You don't. And then all of a sudden, this happens, the near-death experience, the ET contact, right? The maybe you took some ayahuasca, maybe you were meditating, or maybe, you know, and it blows all that out of the water. I need to be able to share that, but I also need to be able to be safe. I need to know that if I don't want to give up my religious beliefs, most of the calls I get are from people who are Christians, but they don't know that if they had this experience, can I still be Christian? I say, hell yes, you can.
Yep.
Because early Christians were arguing about this as well. But they have to feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to be ridiculed. You're not going to rush me. Just let me get there. Let me, and you know, and when I'm ready to share, I'll share it. It's crucial, because otherwise you wind up doing more harm than good. To get on a podcast like this, even if people don't see your face, and to talk about that, that's heavy duty for some people.
It really is.
Yeah, they're not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be respected. And you may want to vet people, but you may want to just say, hey, you know, give me a call. We can talk. I mean, you know, if you can, I mean, you guys are busy, you got your TV thing or whatever, but if you could make that time, I think you can refer them to me. That's cool too. But people have to be safe, because this is big. This is life-changing. There's a section in my book about relationships that break up.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit about the, and we're talking about we're talking about the good side of it all the time, but there is bad sides to this, right, Michael? I mean, aside from
there are
just
difficult
shaking your
sides
faith.
to it. There are difficult sides because the experiencer, the person who's had the experience, is now going through a metamorphosis. A caterpillar is trying to become a butterfly. But if you are a partner with that person and you have not had that experience, you're just trying to cope. And you want to be there and be supportive, but some of it, it's the high strangeness of it all. Yeah. So now you're the person who's had the experiences, because now you question everything. Is this my authentic self? Is this really me? Well, that can be a little scary to someone who's been with you all this time, and now you're telling them you're seeing space people, and now the relationship is kind of shifting. Are you going to stay with me? Am I going to stay with you? You know, there are those.
You're going to have me committed,
things.
like
you
really?
know. Well, committed. Are you going to have me committed, or can we stay committed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's data. There's a high number of divorces. and breakups with that. It doesn't have to be, but you have to be able to talk through that. And to be able to be honest, and probably you need a therapist, or you need a healthcare
Some kind of
professional.
moderate mediator.
Yeah, but someone who's trained.
Yeah.
Not just your best friend,
No.
or someone
So-
who happens to be wise.
Michael, were you, before you had your first experience, were you already a counselor? Were you moving in that direction, or did that all happen?
No, I had made up my mind that I was going to be a priest. Even when I was a kid, I didn't know what other word for it. I was already on a spiritual path. I had already kind of drifted away from the Baptist tradition I grew up in. I was looking for a new way to be in relationship with Jesus that wasn't so judgy, where you go to hell and I don't. So I was already reading existential philosophy, the occult, as they call it, metaphysics, reading auras and all that, because I was discovering these gifts. And then when I had these experiences, it expedited stuff. The growth was faster. I even had people tell me that after that, things changed.
Yeah.
That's a great question, because I don't want people to think, well, they just waved a wand and all of a sudden, no, I was already on a path. Now I went to seminary. I got the Interfaith Seminary in '97. I had my first experience in 1989, and I was having them, through the years. So it kind of shifted me to where I wanted to go. But I always had, I could have just said, no, I want to do something else. It was never forced on me, but that's where I wanted to go. So I was already doing that. I just needed to get training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I needed to get a degree, not unless I was going to be Paul and start a church in my living room or something. So I needed that. And I also, because that was the only way to be taken seriously. Whether it was fair or not, I had to be seminary trained. I had to have a degree. When I wrote these books, until I wrote these books, I wasn't really taken seriously. And this was 20 years ago. Somehow, when you write something, it's published, you're taken seriously. And so having the credentialing I have, I'm seminary trained. I went to one of the top seminaries in the country. I went to Union Theological. I'm an experiencer, but you can't write me off so easy because I have the education. Now, whether that's right or wrong, we could argue, but that's what happened. That's how I got on Ancient Aliens. I had written that book. A producer called me, says, "Is this Reverend Michael Carter?" I said, "Yeah, I have your book, Alien Scriptures, in my hand, and like to know if you want to come on the show." If I hadn't written that book, I probably would not have been on there.
Wow.
When I first started out, man, I was writing articles. And I was selling my articles at conferences for $2, I staple it together. It will be on UFOs and Christmas, UFO, you know what I mean?
I want you to find some and send us some, because I want an autographed version of those. That sounds.
I have them.
I
I have a UFO magazine.
Oh my gosh.
UFO magazine, the British version. I had cassette tapes. I would sell cassette tapes for $5, $10. UFOs and that's how I started out, man. That's how I started out. I still got some of the artists. I got the magazines. MUFON I had written for, when it was just a little publication and I was living in New York. That's how I started. But people said, you got to write, man. For some reason, you're not taken seriously until you write. Same thing, I went to an interfaith seminary. I got trained there, but it wasn't a degree program. It was a 2-year program. And the first year was study, the biblical text and other texts. And the second year was practicum. How do you do a memorial service? How do you do a wedding? How do you do, I got ordained and all that. But in order to make a living, I had to go to seminary. So I went back, finished up my BA, and I got my MDiv. That's the way the world works.
Yeah. You got to have those
Got to
letters.
have the credentialing.
Yep. The letters and the paper trail.
Yeah, you got to have a couple alphabets after your name. Yep. So, and I'm not sorry I did it. I know there were people who, because it was later in life, they said, well, good luck. And I did it. I went back, finished up a BA, finished up 3 years of seminary, and wound up getting my church, doing, and working in hospitals and stuff like that. Eyes in the Woods could never share her experience with her husband, right? Yeah, and that's hard to do. And he couldn't speak of it again. Yeah, and so this is someone you love, someone you hold hands and you're walking a journey with in life. And no one's perfect, so you can't share everything with everybody, but you want to feel close, but you can't do it. So what do you need? You need a show like this. You need a support group, because everybody's, that you can't get everything from everybody. You want to keep the relationship glued together. You want to make it work, but you realize I can't go there with this person. Love them. We love each other, but I can't go there. So you need to have that outlet. It's scary for them. He's a straight materialist. You researched on your own. He sees you photographing. He asks to see my info time to time. Yeah, at least he tries. And it doesn't have to break up or whatever. And I know you're not implying that, Eyes in the Woods, but you just know you have to have that outlet. You have to have that. All this week, I just got back from Amsterdam. And I kind of pushed myself as soon as I got back. Of course, everything happens when I'm away. I was at hospitals yesterday, trying not to catch COVID. I had my mask on. People had, a couple people broke their hips. Somebody's chemo didn't work. So I've been ministering to them. So I was looking forward to this, because I don't talk about this with everybody. It's an open secret. People, because the church didn't hire me to talk about UFOs. So I don't talk about UFOs. They know of it. I bring them up, but on Sunday mornings, I don't say, well, let's talk about reptilians this Sunday. No.
Now that could be an interesting, that would be an interesting sermon. Let's just say
they would ask me to leave.
Yeah.
They would say, Michael, you've got to leave. So, and I'm 3 years from retirement. So, and there are people there who are, but it's my ministry. That's what I'm called to do.
Wow. It's a lot of work. That's what he's saying, guys.
It's a lot of work.
You're not listening.
It's a lot of work. I got to write my sermons and all that. I mean, I am a minister. I'm not just a minister in the UFOs. This is what I do. These experiences have helped me. When I do the hands-on healing stuff, I don't tell them what it is, and they'll say, "Oh God, that's the Holy Spirit." I don't care what you call it. I can't sit up there and explain Reiki.
It's working. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of my ministry. As a matter of fact, when I retire, I'll probably focus more on the healing than anything else, than the counseling. But and I just say that for people who are not familiar with me. Yes, I am an ordained minister. I do have a church. I do whatever ministers do. I visit hospitals. I write my sermons. I counsel. I do serve a congregation.
Yeah, it's a tough road to hoe, man.
I know, brother, but I feel like I'm making a difference in that all.
And that's the big thing.
That I got a lovely wife, and my daughter's in college. I'm living the dream. It is important. You know why? Because and I want to say this to experiencers. Yeah, Terry, yes, your wife. Yeah, you just have to roll with that kind of stuff. She's just not there. The other thing about talking to experiencers, gang, because I went through it, it's the biggest thing that's happened to you. I know outside of the birth of my daughter, wow, but you have to remember that that's not your identity. That's not who you are. It's something that happened to you, because it's easy just to get caught up into that.
Yeah.
I remember a psychic telling me, a good friend of mine who told me I was having experiences, and I never mentioned it to him. Matter of fact, I lied to him. I was so ashamed at the time. And then, you know, I did come clean, obviously. And every time I got a reading from him, what are the ETs saying? What are ETs saying? And he would get annoyed. He would say, I can't control what comes through, but he said, you have to remember that's not all of who you are. That's not, you know, there's more to you than being an experiencer.
Yeah.
And that stuck with me, obviously. He's since crossed over, but yeah, you know, I'm a dad, you know, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a healer. I'm screwed up, you know, I need help. You know, I'm a husband. I'm many things, and you don't want to be defined by that or your whole life by that, because you put yourself in a box and you'll regret it. What do you feel as the spirits that we see or experience? What area of death are they stuck in between here and the afterlife? Oh, Danny's back. Danny, you know this stuff. Your answer's right in your question. Yes, there are some people, especially if you die suddenly, you get stuck, and you can't let go. And some people are you know, literally. I'm not talking about Bud Light, but there are ways you can, you know, you have to send them to the light. You have to go. A lot of people who get, at least from the data I've read, you know, people who die suddenly, maybe car accident, violently or whatever, it happens so quick, you're just in another dimension. You don't get a chance to say goodbye or anything. And so you're kind of stuck between here and where you need to go. You're welcome, Eyes in the Woods. And you can talk to a lot of Native American shamans about that. You can talk to a lot of exorcists, some exorcists about that. And that's a very real state. People talk about beings in their house. I thought this house was haunted a couple months ago. My daughter said she saw things and hear people. I don't know if it is. I'd saged and now they don't come around. But, you know, that's very real.
Well, there's a lot of energy behind you, my friend. So it doesn't surprise me. It's like a lighthouse, I'm sure.
Well, your pictures are up here. I got some star people in here. I got Jesus up here. I got a dark Jesus and a white Jesus, just because, in case I'm wrong. I got Mary. I'm joking, guys. I got Mary and Mary Magdalene, Jesus's wife, and I got Mary, the mom, there.
That's cool.
I got your pictures over here, the cave art, the petroglyphs. Got Buddha there.
Okay, they're on the other side. Yeah.
I got it's a lot of energy down here. I forgot
about those, actually.
Yeah. I got Tutu and Dalai Lama over there. Yeah, I got my altar here. You know, we do the best we can, brothers. But I will say this, and I've said it to you before, and I'm not saying it just because you're my friends, but you are my friends. You guys, this is your ministry. And did you hear what so-and-so said? You had me on as a guest, and she said, I helped her tonight. That's what ministers do. You facilitate healing. Joe is a minister. He can say, oh, I used to be a minister. He's a minister. That doesn't go away, Joe. As you know, you are a minister. And you know who your people are. And I love that about you. You say, man, I call it the Father. I love that. You don't say, I got to call it the Father. You say, this is what I call it in this work, because the Father doesn't care what you call it. This is your ministry. And people, you are a Christian man. And you've probably been killed 100 years ago for your Christianity, because it's inclusive. Yeah. You know, people don't play that.
Right.
So, Ron, this is your ministry. Your art, your UFO art, your art, that's a ministry. People say, hey, man, I'm sick. What did y'all say? Hey, we got you. We're holding you. We keep you in prayer. That's ministry. The sister, Eyes in the Woods. Hey, you know, you help me out, Michael. You facilitate, you bring in, you let go, you do. And this is why Brother Danny comes in. Brother Danny's got a little minister in him too. but this is your ministry, and people need this. You're not going to be able to go. Washington's not going to do it for you. And let me be clear. I don't have a bug up my butt about Washington, in the sense of I don't. It's this big conspiracy. But there are folks who, because of fear, don't want to talk about this. And you gotta let go of that fear. We're ready for it. We're ready for it. Don, what does Rev use when praying? I use a lot of different names for God. Sometimes I'll call God the Great Mystery, who's, I'll call Great Mystery. Sometimes I won't even use a name at all. I don't have to, because I just know that you're going to hear me, because remember, God is not God's name. You're not using the wrong name, not unless you're saying, let me pray to Beelzebub or somebody. Then you may want to dial it back. you don't want to do that. So it is important. But,
that's going to be an outtake.
Funny, but you know what I mean. But you can just say Father, Mother, God, the Great Mystery. The Sioux called Wonka Tonkin, the Great Mystery.
That's right, the Great Mystery.
Whatever. And I'm not trying to be funny. Whatever feel, but but you also don't want to mess with names you know nothing about, because names are powerful. Names are powerful, and if you don't know who you're talking to,
he's
you
right.
need to be careful.
He's right.
Because you can conjure up some stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't play with that kind of stuff.
Yep, I learned that straight native.
But I think you're using the right name. Even you just say God. There's no right or wrong. It's not it's the words, but it's what's in your heart.
Bingo. The frequency.
Brother Buck, are you leaving? Oh, no. Okay.
No, he's just making a comment.
Okay. Yeah. Don't leave. We got time. Anyway, you dealing with the ministers, Brother Buckner. I think you got a little minister in you, but definitely these brothers are. And that's what we're going to need, because the government is, they're thinking about security, and they're thinking about, adversaries and what have you. Maybe one day they'll get around to consciousness, but until that happens, it's on us.
The latest documents that have been released, just what was it, 2 weeks ago, Ron?
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
2 weeks ago, there were so many
1,500
talking points
pages
that were around consciousness.
Yeah.
So now 15 years ago, you wouldn't have had that.
Exactly.
So things do change. Yeah. I haven't gotten Elizondo's new book, because I know it's probably not a lot of new stuff in it. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good read.
Okay, and I'll get it.
Yeah,
get it. Does he get into spirituality or anything like that?
Kind of, but not really. Like, he touches it and then goes away. Yeah. His is more. It's more like
practical
accounts of happenings that took place.
Yeah. I may get it. Maybe I'll ask somebody to get it for Christmas.
The good part. Oh, you want one? Because I've got one. I'll send it to you.
Ron actually.
I got a free one
by
I'm
accident.
Not kidding. By accident. I don't know why I got it. So apparently that's what it was for.
I'll read it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. So one of the things in it you're going to love is where he talks about remote viewing. And a lot of people right before this book came out heard that was going to be in it, and they started like just flambeing this guy, like, oh, that's woo science, blah blah blah, it's all garbage. And then now they're like, wait a minute, it's actually not. Which we've been saying that for years. I mean, they studied it since the 60s. It's not garbage. We don't know how it works. It works. That's all that matters.
Yeah. It works. It works.
So that's
it's being a psychic, but it's just with the protocols and stuff. It's more structured, because that's what the military does. But a good psychic remote views when they're telling you what they see.
Yes, absolutely. It's
just more structured that way. Yeah. I wanted to show you something in the Bible, if I could find it.
How many of you guys would like to, at some point in the future, just possibly, just throwing this out there, just darts at a wall, how many of you folks would like to come to say, oh, I don't know, maybe a future iteration of Wild and Weird Con, something like that, and actually meet the good Reverend? I'm just asking.
I would love to do that. I would love
he's
to do
in.
that.
He's in. So it doesn't matter about any of you. So
Yeah.
Listen,
We're-
it could be 6 people and a cat. I will
No,
still be
it's
there.
true. 6 people and a cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
I feel you. I know how that goes. But
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Oh, but no, yeah, but I would please, I would do that. Listen, 1 Kings 22,
Let's hear it.
13 to 28. The brother's name is not Micah, Micaiah.
Micaiah,
He
yeah.
remote views a heavenly council involved in a false flag operation in Hebrew foreign policy. Basically, he remote views Yahweh and the heavenly council, and they are planning
Yeah.
a war, but they're going to use false flag information. And a spirit, it says the Lord, it's probably Yahweh says, I need so and so done. Which one of you will do this? And the spirit comes down. We don't know if it's an angel. He didn't say it was an angel.
No.
He said a spirit came forth and said, I will do it. And Yahweh says, okay. So here we have this council involved with foreign policy of the Hebrews. And this spirit comes, could have been an energy-based being, but it's in 1 Kings 22, chapters 13 to 28. And again, it's just me drawing the line,
Wow.
the connection between sacred text.
Mhm.
See, they don't use the word remote viewing, but
No.
that's
Right.
what he's doing. He's seeing this.
Yeah.
Okay, we have words for that. So, and this is right in the Bible. Now you can find it in the Upanishad. You can find it
Yep.
wherever you want. But so Yahweh and this heavenly council, they are what? They are dictating foreign policy. There are some who would argue that we have extraterrestrials influencing our foreign policy, extraterrestrials influencing Putin's policies. And Hayam Ashed said there is such a thing as the
Yeah.
Galactic Council.
The council, yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody poisoned him.
No.
You know, he's still
He's
walking
still
around
running
free.
around. Yep.
Alain Juliet, the former CIA, well, their equivalent, the French CIA,
That's
said
right.
that he was working with Lou Elizondo. So he affirms Lou Elizondo, that they were working together. Okay, what's the other guy? Dmitry Medvedev.
Yeah.
Yep.
Medici.
What
Yeah.
what did he say? He said, "Hey man, we get a dossier. Every new president coming in gets a dossier on what extraterrestrial civilizations we're in contact with." He said this on a hot mic. Putin didn't say lock him up, go to Siberia. That's disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. All those
disclosure.
things. Yeah, exactly. And it's been laid
We
out.
are knee deep in it. There's more talk of this than it was 70 years ago when Truman first was in office.
Mhm.
Beats
Absolutely.
says Ezekiel was a remote viewer.
Most of the prophets were.
Almost all of them were, right?
Every prophet in the sacred
Yeah.
text, every
Vision,
apostle
everything.
and disciple, all those folks.
They
Yep.
were remote viewers. The only thing is, and this is from my research, they were Yahwist. They were Yahwist. They worship Yahweh. Samuel did. You see, he got mad at Saul.
Yeah.
Because Saul wouldn't massacre all the people that Yahweh asked him to do. You go back and read that. That doesn't sound like the God of love that Jesus is talking about.
Telling you
So
guys.
Samuel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah laments. He says, on every high hill and under every
Find that.
green tree, there is an altar to Asherah. Asherah was one of the female deities that taught what plants were good for
That's right.
consciousness, what plants were poison, how to make civilization, how to make beer, we're told in Mesopotamian texts. But we've been taught that they were bad people, that you had to believe in the one God, and it had to be Yahweh. Jeremiah's upset because the people don't want to worship Yahweh. And we're going, yeah, Jeremiah, go, Jeremiah, go, Jeremiah, go, Jeremiah, go. Now we're saying, yeah, who wants to worship Yahweh? He's got problems.
And you know, for everybody who's out there, if you want more information about this, if that specific topic is something that's of interest to you, it was a major study in my life, for myself personally, was the unseen realm and the heavenly council and things of that nature. And one of the guys that I read and listened to a lot was Michael Heiser. I don't know if
Yeah.
you're familiar with
The late Michael Heiser.
the
Yeah,
late
yeah.
Michael
He's
Heiser.
a
Yeah, Dr.
German.
Michael
Yeah,
Heiser.
yeah.
Yeah, he passed last year, I believe, and
Yes.
last year before. And but he was a minister, and he also had this book called The Unseen Realm, where he goes over all this stuff with Asherah and that exact conversation you were talking about with the foreign policy and the looking in and catching all that. That is, yeah.
You know, and so I yeah, you know, and again, it's not me saying it, it's right there in the text. The only
Yeah.
thing is that they didn't have words for it. We do. We do.
There it was.
So oh, that's beautiful.
That's the one
Yep.
that we did, and it
That
is.
was
my
this past
God.
Christmas.
This is brilliant. This was a brilliant episode. If that's the one I think it is, and I'm pretty sure that
It
was
is.
Christmas. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an absolutely brilliant episode.
I don't remember seeing that one.
That's
Can
just
you send can you send me that banner?
well, yeah.
I would like to have
Absolutely.
it.
Oh yeah,
Right? Yeah.
What?
So yeah, well, if you would just text me that, I keep the banners from the show. I would keep
Oh,
that.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I keep.
I'll
that.
make you.
I'll show my wife.
I'll get you better than that, though.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So yeah. So it's right there in the text. I want to tell people,
Right.
and you can still be a Christian and a good Christian and still acknowledge extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
The church fathers did. Origen, Justin Martyr, to name a few. But they argued that what do we do with the Old Testament? Because Yahweh is not what Jesus was talking about.
Yeah.
And they you not these were Christian men, and they took the scriptures very seriously, but they just knew, well, what are we going to do with this Old Testament? Because Yahweh is definitely not the way to go. But it was Justin, Origen, Justin Martyr, these church fathers were talking about that. And Origen, of course, was very much into reincarnation and what have you. But so there's a long history of Jesus knew about extraterrestrial life, and the New Testament has stories about that, and as does the First Testament, the Old Testament. So for those of you who are like, oh, I don't know, Michael, you may have gone too far. There's a history, because in early Christianity there were different ways to be Christian. It wasn't all one way, and then the Church of Rome took over and dogmatized it. But there were many ways to be Christian.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that, Michael. They're like, they only know what they know today.
And I only know because I went to seminary, so I got
then,
text that people were talking about.
Right,
Yeah.
but back then there wasn't that. There was no big building that you could go to that, dictated 100% this or that. There were
Well, I mean, how
small
many
groups and sects of people.
even just here in the last when me and you were driving stuck in a car together, Ron,
Yeah,
like how many times did we have this conversation? Like, I could never say this from the pulpit, but
right,
and we would hit some
Right.
of these topics like that.
right. And I think it's important that experiencers understand this. That's why I wanted to do this show. It is a belief crusher sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a liberator, is what it can be.
What it'll do, at least what it did for me, is we hear the saying that the unexamined life is not worth living. The unexamined faith is not worth having. And you grow, and you drop things off, and you come. I don't have the same faith that my parents did.
Right.
And that's not necessarily wrong. It's just that I'm a different person. I see things in a different way. And now, rather than having someone tell me what I should believe, I go by my own experience.
Yes.
And that's, Jesus talks about that too. When he says the kingdom of heaven is within you, that's your experience. Caesar can't take it from you. The Babylon can't take it from you. Nobody can take that from you. And so, but knowing the history of Christianity, knowing that if Jesus came back today, I guarantee you, he wasn't trying to start a new religion, but what passed for Christianity today, he probably would say,
Wouldn't recognize.
yeah,
Yeah, you've had this
yeah,
conversation before, Joe, multiple
yeah,
times.
yeah.
That's,
You know, and so you know, and he was against empire,
right.
and we live in an empire, so it's very, very different. And so, you know, I go back to those teachings to learn how to live in empire. You know, I pay my taxes to Caesar just as he did.
Mm-hmm. Rendering Caesar, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and whoever's going to be Caesar in November, I'll be paying my
Yeah.
taxes.
It's not going to change.
Yeah, because they're all messed up.
Yeah. Don't
And
matter.
so, but I'm not going to get into it. That's not what we're here for.
Nope.
Right.
It's screwed on every which way.
So true. It's so
Everybody.
true. You're so
We
right.
just got to
But
stick
that's
together.
not why we're here.
Everybody just
here.
link arms. We'll be good.
No, for
Yeah,
real.
that's not why we're here. But whoever Caesar is, but you can go back to, there's a wonderful book out by a guy named Richard Horsley called Jesus and Empire. If you're, you know, it's a good read. It's a quick read. It's heavy, but yeah. But I go back and look at that because I live in empire and I want to be able to, you know, live in empire because I'm not going to be able to change it. I can do little things to act for it, but also keep my integrity.
Right.
And for me, I know a lot of my Christian friends would say I'm not a Christian at all, and they have a right to their opinion. But the teachings of Jesus, which are different from Christianity, will always and have always been paramount in my life. Even when I thought I was an atheist, even when I thought I was an agnostic, I could not get away from them. I'm in the West. I am a man of color, obviously, but I'm an American. I'm raised in the West. And so when I tried to get away from those teachings, they just kept pulling me back in. And so I've rediscovered them. And I'm make no shame about it. I'm not, you know, there's a lot. I like the Eastern culture, Eastern philosophy, but there's a lot in Western culture. I'm going back, I'm reading Marcus Aurelius. I'm reading Cicero. I'm reading all these, what they call dead white men, but I don't care whether they're dead green men. Right. There's wisdom there. Yeah. And if you're worried about what color they were and how you need to see a doctor.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom there, but you know, we're taught, well, you go over there, it looks good because it's not your own. But Plato, Socrates, Herodotus, I got upstairs. Yeah. Cicero, Seneca, I'm reading. I got to tell you, brother, and you know, I don't know what happened. See, when I was in school, they just gave you a little handout, you know, and because I'm reading these people, I'm like, how did I miss this?
Right, because you just get
they don't give you the whole thing.
Yeah.
Go back and pick up Plato, Timaeus, and he talks about Atlantis, and he talks about the gods, and he talks about that. They didn't give me that. They gave me a little thing and said, you're going to be tested on this.
Yeah.
You better read it.
I'll tell you this, man. That's so true. And you know, the whole experiencer thing, what got me for years, you've heard me telling this story. Well, they thought you think that there's something going on, right? And you do question your faith. You know, I was raised Christian, man.
To be questioned. Yeah.
And like you said, but they're like, oh, you should never question God. And later on, I got to this thing. I was like, well, why would I have a brain if I weren't supposed to ask the question? So, and then I got my hand on the Apocrypha. Well, that just did it.
I got it right here.
Yeah. And that just really opened it up as far as that went, you know.
Yes. Because those books they weren't put in the canon for a reason. And so you have to ask those questions. And you're not questioning God. You're not saying that there's nothing greater than myself. But if I didn't question God, I could not talk about way I'm talking about Yahweh. Yahweh is not God. Yahweh is a member of the Elohim.
Yeah.
And he's a commander of a contingent of gods, what they call gods. They fought among themselves It's right there. I'm not making it up. It's right there.
It's right there.
And human beings were in, we got caught in the
Caught in
cross.
the middle. We've always been caught in the middle.
It's the same thing if you read the Upanishads. It's the same thing when you read the book of Enoch. It's the same thing. I'm not making it up. It's right there. It's just that we have ways of talking about it now that they didn't. And so you're thinking the Old Testament is a spiritual book. Maybe, but it is definitely a book about paleo contact, that
It is contact.
our ancestors were in contact with off-world intelligences, shared the planet with them, were colonized by them, walked among them, fought, died with. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So literally, it really shouldn't be that big of a deal, should it? For people to understand that non-human intelligence, that's really a dumb word, because we don't really know what alien is. We've talked about this before, and we don't really know what human is at this point, because we are literally part of whatever that is, them.
Right. But remember, you've been studying this.
Right.
You have a sophistication about it. So you got to remember, everybody doesn't have that. And it is a big deal. It is a big deal if I'm 65 years old, and I'm older than that, and all of a sudden I'm finding out that my government has lied to me about so many things, but especially this. Okay, now you're telling me I may have been created by these beings. I was told. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
So how do we
and
work
so
through it?
we've got to have the patience and the empathy. It's easy for us now, but look, we had to go through that, what they're going through now. So for us, it's not a big deal, but a lot of people are just getting on the train.
Yeah,
It's true. And you have to remember back how it made you feel at first. So,
Yeah.
Because
that's
another thing. People think, oh, I never heard it so many times. I want to make contact. I want to go out and meet, the alien or whatever. It's like, no, you really don't, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly.
It's not one of those. Look,
it's not Mickey Mouse. This is not a game, and it's not a competition.
No, it's not. It's not.
And
you knock on the door, be prepared for someone to answer.
And one of the things we have to keep in mind going forward is that this whole phenomena it's the way people are experiencing it is not now through sightings or the X-Files, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, or so not even spiritual means, but through Fox News and CNN and MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're being exposed to the phenomena now. And it's a good point. It's a good point. Lens.
It's a good point. Yeah.
And people who had no interest in it, who weren't exposed through those other mediums, this is how they're receiving the material.
Yes. Through someone else's lens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you guys have this show and you have experiences on and they talk, it's through their lens. There's nobody interpreting it for you. We're telling you, pardon me, what happened. I'm telling you what happened to me. What Ron and I know you know about it, Joe, that clip you sent me that we'll talk about another time. You're seeing it through that woman's lens.
Yeah.
Not filtered. I don't need someone to tell me what I just heard or to filter it for me, what I just felt. And that's where the healing comes in, and you listened, you asked questions, you comforted the son. That's ministry. That's where healing comes in. Hey, it's okay. If this is uncomfortable, that's all right. I believe you. That's how you roll.
Yeah.
That's how you roll.
Yeah. I think we're, doing about as best as we can with it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's all that's required.
I think that, open the door, have the conversation,
do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly.
Right. I mean, to me, those things are
what Michael says.
Well, those things are simple, for me, but for other people, like you said, it's not.
It's tough. I think
you that's the issue.
Yeah, because they're already going to feel insecure and I should know this or I don't. But But I did see this because I know we're winding up. A lot of people would come. A lot
I
of people
saw
would
that.
show up.
I
So
saw
Yeah.
that immediately. Did you see that?
Yep,
Twenty-
I was flashing them up on the front there. It's
yeah, 2025.
20, no
I-
pressure, Michael. No pressure at all.
well, I'll start scheduling.
2026.
25 is good.
Yeah.
We want to beat that. We want to beat the actual real, landing on the White House lawn, if we can.
Right.
Yeah.
There-
No,
there
yeah,
will-
yeah,
there
yeah,
will be one.
yeah. Well, there's you see it on social media. There's talk that the reason this is speeding up
Yeah.
is because the government's
20,
been given an
20.
ultimatum by these star people that if you don't do it,
Mhm.
we're going to do it.
Well, me and you
Which
talked
Ron has
about
been
that
saying
before.
for years, ever since I've known him. But we've been putting
Yep.
it on the show too, just as since the show's been
The
existing.
clock's ticking. Yeah.
Things things have speeded up.
Yep.
So
we said that, but,
so we'll be ahead of the curve.
yeah, that's the plan. Maybe we'll
Because
have
the
it.
religious part is, I'm telling you this not just because I'm a minister. That's what's going to be crucial for people.
Oh, it
because
is.
people are going to freak out.
Yes.
Not everybody, but it is the natural question is, okay, if I believe everything Zechariah is saying and these other researchers and these texts, then what's the religious part to this? What about God? And you're going to have to walk people through, not like you have all the answers, but that you're going to have to reimagine what that means now. But it'll be your experience and not Reverend Carter's or not the Pope's or not your deacon or not. It's going to be your experience, not the Pharisees, not the Sadducees. And so that's what's going to be powerful. And that takes time because that scares people. Because I've been told this. And then now if I deviate from that, I'm going to go to hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fear and that's power. That's how that works.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, it's terrifying and it's exciting all at once, but
At the
that's
same time.
that's what disclosure is. It's terrifying, it's fascinating, and that's how it's going to be. And apparently, yeah, we're going to have to try to get you up here. That's all I'm seeing at this point. So
we'll do it.
these people are in for it. So we'll talk.
Time will come.
When it happens, it
Okay.
happens, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Folks, have you all, I know you have, because there's so many of you who've been weighing in here tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you got some of your questions answered. I hope you noticed that we kicked a troll out because I want everybody to understand how that works here. This is a safe place, and we take care of our folks around here. So that's what we do. Reverend Carter, how about? I don't know if you watch the show or not, but there's a little thing we do on this show. It's and you'll probably enjoy it more than most people. Probably understand it more than most guests that we've ever had. Anyway, we're going to do a little Zinner card test over here with the audience because that's what we do, and they get to guess what card it is. How would you like to give it a shot, Rev?
To guess what card it is?
Yeah.
The Zinner card test.
Zinner card is a psychic test protocol. Basically,
Okay.
these are the Carl. Back in the day, this was the Zinner card test. It was 25 cards, 5 cards each, and the average was about you'd get 5 out of 25 on a guess, right? Well, we finally we got our audience tuned here. Every now and again, they'll hit like pretty high, like they'll get the first ones or two right off the bat. So we're keeping track on the ones who get multiples.
So I just pick one of these in front of me.
Yep. Which one you think it is? And one of the best ways that I do this, Michael, is I use associative remote viewing, of course, but I'll give myself a cue. Like when I snap my finger, I'm going to know what that card is. And that helps a lot. And these guys, they really get into it. They do pretty good they've already started guessing. But yeah, see that. I haven't even.
Well, I don't know, but I do like the one with the waves.
Oh my gosh, everybody does. They call that bacon, brother.
It's the bacon.
It's wavy lines. It was never supposed to be anything but bacon.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Bacon. Yeah. So.
All right, I got the top.
All right.
Top guess marked already.
All right. I'm going to go with. Oh man, that's tough because I saw 2 things. That's not good. I'm going to go with plus. I think. Then we'll go plus. It's either plus or square, but I think it's plus.
So which is it?
I don't know. I think we'll do plus. I'm final answer plus.
Okay.
All everybody in? Everybody good? The Bacon Brotherhood. Oh my God. There's a shirt. Okay. We ready, Joe?
Yeah, with the current audience setting, yes, we are
Does
ready
it
to
look
rock
good?
and
Okay, here we go. Oh, it's a star. We were all wrong.
Ah,
Check
roll.
that out.
Thurs. We got
Jen got it.
Trackway got it,
Trackway got it. Jen got it.
and Jen got it. So we got 2.
2.
wow.
Oh, they
It was
disappointed
a
me.
good.
This
It was
one.
a good one.
They
It's all right.
disappointed me that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it one more time. All right.
So, brother, I'll do one more. Then I'm going to go because
All
I
right,
got to get
brother.
up for church tomorrow.
Oh, you are fine, my friend. We're entertaining the crowd, so that's all good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely
if you need to
appreciate
go ahead
you.
and go, you are
Yeah, I
more than
gotta go.
welcome, because we're going to do probably 2 more of these.
Yeah, we'll do 2
and,
more of these for these guys, and then we're going to call it.
So
Well, I want to
Thank
thank
you.
everybody for showing up tonight. I'm
Absolutely.
going to say this. I'm sticking with bacon. So let me know when we talk tomorrow.
I
if
will.
was right.
I will. I'll let you know.
Hey, y'all. God bless and
Thank
have
you,
a
my
great
friend.
evening.
Absolutely.
good.
We'll see you
Pleasure
back
as
on the show in the
always.
future.
Oh, definitely. Well, yeah. Let's do something.
You know it.
And Reverend Joe, we will talk.
All right, brother.
All right. Y'all take
Love
care.
you, man. Take care.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Oh man, he's just awesome, ain't he?
Oh yeah, those are always the more fun shows.
He's
Very
just
philosophical,
incredible.
very
Deep.
deep into the pool.
Yep. Yeah,
Which you can tell by the viewers. Oh, I love it. But yeah, our core sets at around 25. Those are our diehards that live with us in the muck and mire.
Well,
No
that's who the show's for. Let's be real. That is
really
who the show's for. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, dude has got it. That's all I can say about it. All right, here we go. We
are good to go.
Good on this one. I'm feeling bacon on this one too. I'm sorry. I just am. I don't know why. Probably all you guys putting in my head. Oh, there's that plus I was looking for.
Plus, okay, so we got.
Who got it?
Oh, Trackway got it again.
Trackway.
2 in a row.
Marking Trackway down.
Terry's on there. Nikki's on there. Jen's on there. Jen's got 2 in a row.
I'm marking Jen down. No, I'm kidding. I'm not, guys. I'm not keeping track on you.
Oh, nice.
But I should. It might show some really interesting results, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it could, theoretically. Oh my God, I got one. Funny.
Thanks, Don. We do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Folks, I got a little, we're going to do one little thing here for you real quick. Most of you already seen it. Some of you haven't, but I did upload the new thing. I didn't put the new trailer on. It's going to go up probably. It'll probably go up it'll go up tonight or it'll go up in the morning. There's a brand new trailer for Paranormal Horizons. It'll be exclusively shown on our Facebook. Can't do it here because there's music and there's copyright issues and whatnot with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through all that. Maybe in the future it won't be there, but right now it is, so we just don't do it. So I'll play the one we can play. Where's that, Joe? Do you see it? Gen 3. Yeah, there it is. Gen trailer 3. I see it. All right. Here we go. Enjoy.
This is strange phenomena occurring. Subject A, subject B.
Strange electromagnetic signatures.
That's a signal, dude. Yeah.
UAP over the horizon.
Maybe there's an intelligence out there, and maybe it's determining how we see it.
That was just recently, and that was our high.
We are out of battery. Just went from 50 to 0.
That's one of the new batteries.
Get ready for the fun because it's coming, and it's just going to get weirder. I'm just going to let you guys right now know there's a little. See it for you 23 who stayed, what you get. So what's coming is just a lot more weirdness, and there was some clips in there that have never been seen before. Those are from a very new thing that was just done not too long ago, and we're still scratching our heads over some of the results. You folks who are going to be at Flatwoods Monster Convention are going to get to see a little bit of something different there. Might be a little sneaky peeky there. You folks who are at the Mothman are definitely going to get to see something very, very, very different that has not been shown. It'll be an exclusive. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time, right, Joe?
Yeah, and I've got something in my hand right now that I will show you guys because it's just the 23 of you.
Yeah.
And we'll show you guys as a sneak peek of something that will be available because there's been one picture, but it was black and white.
That's right.
But this is just for you guys.
Don't tell anyone.
Shh.
Okay, that's enough. Hide him,
Yeah.
hide him, hide him. Make him go away. He's I don't know, man. That's pretty powerful stuff right there. So yes, we have some really, really, really cool stuff that's coming, and I hope to see you guys out there because it's going to be a blast. Now, real quick before we head out, how many of you guys enjoyed tonight's show? And let's let us know. Dare you to play it with the Benny Hill music? Oh, Anita, that is so on. I will definitely do that. I will make a special cut just for that. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Everybody here loved the show.
Awesome. Awesome. What was your show? And I'm not going to be joking about that. I'm being dead serious. That was your show. And why I'm saying that is okay, I'll go, real quick story. Back in the day, back when I played in the band, Joe can relate to one of these two probably. Back when I played in the band, we would have these shows where very few people would show up. As long as there was at least 4 or 5 people out there in the audience, we played like there was 4,000 or 5,000 people in the audience. The last show I played was about, I don't know, probably around 3,000. I think it was 3,500 or 4,000 people. That's the last show I played to. And now looking back at that, I can say we literally played no better for those 3,500 people than we played for those 5 people in that bar back when I first started, out there. It's the same thing. So thank you guys. You are who the show's for, obviously. Joe, would you please run down who makes this thing possible for us just one more time?
One more time. Yeah, we'll do that one more again.
And send out some big energy waves and prayers over to Adam, our fierce cult leader out there, because he needs your help. He's not feeling too good.
So we got the executive producers, Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Teresa of Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State, Larry Hose, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Lisa, Finding the Trackway, Tommy Swigger, Pat, Seth Beans Lamille, Small Town Monsters, Eyes in the Woods, James Nelson, Our Amazing Super Chatters, Dewey Edwards, Spooky Appalachia, Guitar Chains Craig, Travis Urednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Bigfoot Littlefoot, Terry Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Donna Ho, Angie Breeden, Jen Clower, Jamie Snell, Ike the Fob Daddy Fobber, Ashley Hilt of On Wednesdays We Talk Weird, Lotus Flower, Wendy the Pooh Bear. We missed her tonight. I missed Wendy.
Oh, yeah.
Asher's Creation and Spirit Brothers Paranormal UK. Everybody go check all those folks out that have YouTube accounts. Go and subscribe and like them, all that good stuff. They're good folks. They help support the show. They They do good things. And Adam does have a meditation workshop coming up
It does.
October. That is
Graphic
going
for that.
to be a good time if you're interested.
I had the graphic for that. I don't see it.
Joining this
That's it. Yeah.
on October the 12th at 6 p.m. in Valley Park at Valley Drive, 297 Valley Drive in Hurricane, West Virginia. Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, a CE5 meditation with Adam Good. It's going to be a really good time. No pun. Well, actually, total.
Oh, that was funny. A good
And-
time.
And
Super funny.
you guys will have a blast. You'll learn a thing or two about meditation, maybe even have some kind of a, breakthrough yourself and experience this world in a whole new way. Highly recommend it. Being around Adam when he's doing these experiments and meditation stuff is just it's
Well,
surreal.
You've
It's
seen it
very
twice now. So what do you think?
It's interesting.
It's interesting. I'd say there's a good chance all of them are gonna have a good time. Let's put it that way.
Agreed.
You're gonna have a good time.
So reach out to Adam Good if you're interested in joining in on the meditation workshop. It's going to be an absolute ball. And you never know, you might actually see us show up there if we're able to squeeze it in there. Then don't forget Mothman Festival 2024 2-hour demonstration. We're going to be doing a walkthrough on equipment, how to use it, and why we use it. Sunday, September 22nd from 1 to 3 p.m. 2 slots, guys. Get in there. Come hang out with us on Sunday of the Mothman Festival. You won't regret it. I promise. Then next weekend, Chasing Monsters at the Flatwoods Monster Con, September the 14th, 2024. It's going to be a ball. Come hang out with us. We're going to have an absolute blast. You're going to see some things probably there that you've never seen before.
Oh, they're definitely going to see some things they've never seen before. There's no question to that. And speaking of which, remember this coming week, squad members get to watch it early. They're going to get to watch the new episode that's coming up of Paranormal Horizons. Wednesday, the public gets to see it, and Thursday, Beyond the Horizon. And we're going to talk about it. So that's going to be good. And to let you all know where we're going, this will be the first in the series for Wineberry. So you're going to get to see the untold story of Wineberry. Some of it you know, but there's a heck of a lot of it you don't know anything about. So buckle up. It gets crazy. I still don't know what to think of that place, but that's just me. Anyway, I've seen some things, man. I've seen some things.
Right. Well, guys, if you've had a sighting, if you've seen some things, you can reach us at wildandweirdwv.com. Hit the report of sightings tab and then fill out the questionnaire. It will be sent to us and we will respond accordingly. If you want to continue to support the show, all you've got to do is share it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Tell somebody about it. Go like the videos. Throw some comments down below. It's easy and free for you to do those things. And it helps keeps the light on around here. And then all of our amazing super chatters and supporters and executive producers, you guys are amazing and we thank you. And if you would like to become one of them, just ask them how, because we don't know how they did it.
I'm not sure. There's something that you do. I mean, I honest to goodness couldn't even tell you. It's a super chat. I think you guys have like there's a little sign or something has a money or something from what I remember. When you hit that, it's like how much you want to donate. So that's how you do it. And there's super chat and then there's the stickers. I honestly don't know. I should know how this works, but honestly, it's just a miracle to us when it works and when we get to see it. And we just like throw the blessings up there to you guys. Thank you. But anyway. So next week, next week's is Beyond the Horizon. So be prepared for that and get your stuff in, because a little bit after that, we're going to be doing the next issue version of In Focus. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to beat the last In Focus. The last In Focus is skyrocketing. It's going up there just because of that weird non-human thing that was taking place. So anyway,
well, guys, you know what time it is.
I know what time it is.
And remember, if you've had an experience that you can't explain, you're not alone. A lot of people have been there with you. Don't put it to the back burner. Don't write it off. Don't feel like you have to hide it. Let the freak flag fly. Come over to Wild and Weird
Yeah,
Radio.
absolutely. Yes.
We'll,
Yes.
we'll hang with you.
And
Stay
don't-
wild and weird.
And don't be afraid to laugh. Sometimes it's good to laugh at that stuff. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
So keep your humor. Everyone, we're out of here.
Bye, guys. Good night.